Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Submariner, reference 116619, also known as the Smurf. You can purchase this Rolex 18-karat white gold Submariner on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full listing for this watch with additional accessories included, high-resolution images, and naturally full pricing details. Now, I get asked many questions about this timepiece, the first and to date only Rolex Submariner issued entirely in 18-karat white gold. The biggest question I get, besides how much does it cost, is what does it feel like on the wrist? And that's a great question because it's both heavier than you expect, even given the precious metal, and bigger than the bare 40mm measurement would suggest. Now 40mm, of course, has been the size of the sub for decades, going back to the 60s and the 1680, but here 40mm doesn't fully convey just how broad the watch is. In 2008, this watch became the first of the ceramic bezel super case Submariners, a phenomenon first introduced with the GMT of 2005. Now you can see that the case is broad at the lugs, far broader than its bracelet in fact. You'll also note that it has a tremendous stance. From lug to lug it measures 48mm, which is a bit larger than you'd expect for a 40mm watch, but now you measure from the solid end link to its opposite number. This defines the true distance across the wrist. Now you get 51mm. The result is that the watch both looks and feels far bigger than its 40mm measurement. This is no 40mm dress watch here. This is a hefty, modern, almost oversized sports timepiece. Now, in addition to being exceptionally broad, again, 40 by 48, nominally 48, in fact 51, it's not particularly thick, and I will give it that. The watch measures 12mm thick, and with a sloped bezel and a slightly domed sapphire, it will easily fit underneath a dress sleeve or cuff, which is appropriate as a full white gold watch should it give you nothing if not a little bit of prestige and versatility with your dress. After all, the precious metal dive watch should be able to pull double duty in a business suit or a bathing suit. Now, the all-solid link, that is solid end link and solid center link, white gold Oyster bracelet, imparts incredible mass to this watch. It's matched with a milled Rolex clasp. Now this is the clasp design that also debuted on this watch, affectionately nicknamed the Smurf, as the first of the new generation of Submariners at Basel World 2008. The milled out clasp, beautifully finished outside and in, opens with a snick, closes with a snap, and incorporates a very clever incremental adjustment system, which you can see to good effect from this angle. Now it has about 20mm of adjustment, but in 2mm increments, so it's not an all or nothing dive extension. This one's also useful for taking in and taking out slack as your wrist expands or contracts in hot and cold weather or periods of activity and inactivity. And of course, when it closes, as I mentioned, very satisfying with a clamshell secure sort of sense of vault-like, ingot-like solidity, almost as if when you close that clamshell, you're restoring a solid block of metal to its original state, and of course beautifully finished with both satin and high polish. Now, migrating back to the dial, it's important to note that what surrounds this mass of beautiful gloss blue is Rolex's own 18-karat white gold. Rolex owns its own foundry and it creates its own metallurgy, meaning that this blend of white gold is not the more common rhodium-plated variety. Now that is kind of nasty stuff that needs to be replated when scratched, and when scratched can in fact show a milky yellow underneath. With Rolex white gold, known by the industry trade name gray gold, it's homogeneous, so if you scratch it, there's just more white metal underneath. Now, moreover, you'll see that just like the bracelet, the case itself is beautifully finished with satin and high polished facets, gives it a dazzling array of looks in different angles and intensities of light. Now, the bezel was the very first Rolex Cerachrome bezel in blue, and it's a beautiful blue, lighter than cobalt, not quite azure. It's a gorgeous and perfect match to the lacquer style gloss blue dial. Now, important to note, this is not the sunburst blue that we've known from generations of Rolex two-tone Submariners. It is a sort of blue lacquer that almost has a wet and smooth appearance, much like a dial equivalent of the bezel material itself. And of course the bezel is filled with platinum, all the hash marks, indices, and numerals for long-wearing durability, as well as a sapphire-capped luminescent element at 12 o'clock within the index. Now, the dial adopted in 2008 a style called the maxi dial with larger indices and hands. This was pioneered on the Yachtmaster and the 2003 Rolex Anniversary Submariner, the Kermit. With this 2008 Smurf, it finally made its way to series production beyond the Yachtmaster and the Anniversary Sub, eventually percolating out, finding its way into all of the Supercase Submariners. The watch also features a Rolex chronometer grade caliber 3135 beneath the solid white gold caseback. It features a 45 to 48 hour power reserve, COSC chronometer certification. Of course, it does have a full balance bridge and a handmade Breguet overcoil hairspring on a free-sprung balance. Together, those features give you resistance to shock-induced timing variations with the free-sprung full balance bridge, and with the Breguet overcoil, resistance to positionally induced timing variation. Now, the movement is also a smooth bidirectional winder with Teflon-coated reversing wheels, so it's almost impossible to hear or feel it winding on the wrist. And naturally, you have 300-meter water resistance thanks to the screw-down crown. Pull the crown to the second and third positions, and now you have the ability to quick set the date and hack the balance respectively, such that you can rapidly correct the date wheel if you encounter an irregular length month, and if you pull the crown all the way out, you can now synchronize precisely to an atomic clock or a known accurate reference watch such as a dive timer. You can see this pioneering and unique Rolex 18-karat white gold Submariner, nicknamed the Smurf, and buy it on our website.